welcome to Day at the Races. Happy Sunday, Dave. Last day of racing this weekend. We have a nice 8-race card ahead of us today.
Yeah, and a late pick 5 carryover to boot. A tough sequence for the fans yesterday, and that's good news because big fields again today, and a competitive late pick 5 with almost 20 grand in there and a 12% takeout. You got to play that.
Let's see if we can attack it best as we can for you. I do have a little bit of a lineup later on. Let's take a look at what we've got going on outside today. Of course, the track is fast. The turf is firm. A little bit breezy. Those wind gusts are still sticking around from yesterday, Dave.
Yeah, windy. The weekend breeze won't go away, but we'll take the sunshine. We'll take the fast track and the firm turf and the big fields. And lots of wide open races. That's the most important thing.
And there we have it. Let's get things kicked off here in our first race that, of course, as per usual, kicks off that early pick 5. And, of course, it is in this maiden special weight, 1 16 miles on the turf for the straight 2-year-old scratch in the 5, 6, 12, 15, 14, 16. And this is for the straight 2-year-old. Dave, you have the number 8, Money in Motion for Mike Trombetta, Johan Rosado in your first selection.
Yeah, Munnings Gelding, who seems to be rounding into perhaps his prime race right now. Debuted at Colonial, dusted on the dirt and maiden special weight, but he kind of found that home on the turf second time out. His last out, he rated along, saved some ground down the backstretch, was between horses on the turn. He didn't mind that at all, and then got to the outside, and once he got clear, he's kind of grinding away at the end, beaten only a length. So I think he's going to improve even more. His second time on the turf. The last couple of months, Trombetta's been the hot hand on the turf, 17% and a positive return on investment for the Trombetta runners. This one's for Live Oak Plantation. Always gets those turf horses that seem to come around for that ownership. Number 9, City Leader's an interesting horse. That's the horse you have on top, Callie. Look at that damn Hawksmoor, right? $1 million on the turf.
Yes.
Multiple group graded winner.
Yes, so big. That was a big attractor for me. Of course, you do have Arno Delacour, who's pretty decent with his first-time routers and first time on the turf as a combination.
Yeah, so the pedigree is there for him to win and become a really, really nice horse for Laurel Stables. Could have flip-flopped him. I went 8-9, you went 9-8, and got the 11-3 in there as well, thinking like in Rapture Bay. Only his second start, and been given a few weeks since the sprint at Monmouth for trainer Jorge Delgado, and looks like the kind of horse who's going to appreciate that extra ground out of the hard-spun mare. Nice kind of even clip. Was wide in the turn, just couldn't keep up with the early speed in the debut effort on the Monmouth grass, but going 2 turns could be a different story for him. Sanderson, oh, look at him. Somebody likes him. They put some money on him early. You know, it's early in the game. As a Graham Motion runner by Collected out of the Kitten's Joy mare. Okay, he got in trouble in his debut. Bumped between horses, 2-3 path. You see the short comments, steady 8th pole. But I thought the trouble was a bit inconsequential. He really wasn't going anywhere. But again, it's sprint to route on the grass today. If you toss that Delaware Park wet fast effort, he's got every right to improve going 2 turns out of Kitten's Joy mare for sure. I thought the trouble was a bit overrated there in the debut run.
And then you, of course, go 8, 9, 11, 7 there in that maiden special weights. Kicking things off for our Sunday race card. Race number 2 kicks off the early pick 4. Dave, why don't you take it away and show us what you've got for Sunday's card?
Okay, I'm going to pick the 4, 5, and 6, deep in the second, deep in the third, 3, 7, 8. Couple of runners in the 4th, and then the third leg, 2, 8, and 12. Yesterday's ticket was profitable. It hit.
It is. There we go.
$900. So we'll see if we can do it back to back with a $27 play in the early pick 4 using the 4, 5, and 6 Sullivan Street, Ginger Girl, and Thunder Boss. Well, Callie, I think I know who's going to maybe be on the lead in here, right? Thunder Boss. She's pretty quick. The blinkers come off after a 1-race experiment. Blinkers on. Didn't do much. She just kind of ran the same race, right? Fast out of the gate, dueled in that race, an extended duel actually. But again, blinkers back off. It didn't work out. You know, she is what she is. She's very quick up front, but going that mile out of the chute, she could be loose up front.
And this is a claiming 10,000 for the 3-year-olds and up, which have never won 2, going a mile on the dirt for the girls. Let's talk about your second in command in the number 5, Ginger Girl. Let's go ahead and take a look at that effort last time out over here at Laurel Park.
Yeah, speaking of equipment changes, Ginger Girl gets blinkers on. I believe she had that hood on. Ginger Girl, there you see on the blue colors, wandered a bit in the stretch, drifted out at the 3/16, but all in all, a good trying effort. It was very consistent over this surface. Blinkers going on today, perhaps maybe to keep this filly more in focus. Now, she'd run with blinkers before and really didn't run well at all, but the last few efforts, she's been coming around for the Joanne Schenkel barn, so maybe they say, well, let's try the blinkers back on, maybe getting her mental game together a little bit. So Thunder Boss on the lead, maybe Ginger Girl on the chase. And who can win that war of attrition there? I don't know. Number 4, Sullivan Street, your top pick, is a prime candidate perhaps to come from off the pace. I mean, a bit of a different treatment today with Jamie Rodriguez back up. Ready to victory mid-July at Delaware Park in a wet fast track, going the 2-turn mile there, coming from off the pace.
Yes.
So going back to J-Rod, I don't think he's going to try any tack to get in anything crazy with Ginger Girl or Thunder Boss. Maybe that's an angle in the spot.
And that's exactly how I see that playing out. So you go 6, 5, 4, and 9 there in race number 2. Race number 3 is a claiming 16,000. Also starts with the Rainbow Pick 6. And, of course, this is a 5.5 turf affair for the 3-year-olds and up. Dave, you have the number 8 on top, Irish Warlock. This is in the barn of Daniel McKenzie, Georgie Hernandez. Let's just press rewind back to a couple weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, breaking from post position to Irish Warlock in the former barn here, was running 4th down the backstretch, but had a little trouble, as you'll see here in a moment, in the spotlight, thanks to Phil Circle there, and right up in here. Had to get out of that little traffic jam, set he back a little bit, and then down the stretch, I thought, good effort trying, but then had trouble again at the 8th pole. So we'll pick it up again here, watch for the horse again in the black cap. Right now in between the horses, Sanders in the turn. There we go. Down the inside, wants to get through, can't do it. Hole shut off, comes out again. A little bit of kind of awkwardish action, but gets on the turf for the first time. And his dam, Abracadabra, was a 3-time turf winner. So there's some pedigree here. First off the claim for Daniel McKenzie, who off the claim is 2 for 8. Horses like New York Panther, Virginia Fulla, and 50% of the money first off the claim. Was beaten in that race, by the way. The horse came rolling, was Class Actor, a class plummeter there. But not a bad race on the turf at Colonial for Irish Warlock. Storm Trap, see the horse to beat him? He was a strong third, very close third yesterday on the grass here at Laurel Park.
And you also go with the number 3, Crazy Odds for Fenica Bentley. William Humphrey gets the call here today, coming and returning back to this distance and this condition.
3-time second in the career, 2 of them on the turf. He had like a perfect trip last time out, saving ground every step of the way. Red Seas parted but couldn't run down, picking sea glass, Crazy Odds. So he's had speed before. He's come from off the pace before, perhaps a little more effective from just off of it. He's been running solid numbers on the grass. Would probably win this spot. He had a great trip last time out, and that's your top pick, and I don't blame you.
Absolutely. As you go 3, 8, 3, 7, 10 with strong finish and
strong
Sir
finish.
Lance underneath.
Yeah, it was out of the same race too, Callie. Strong finish. Probably needed that race, right? Was beaten by Crazy Odds, but that was his first race since April, and so they don't really give up on him that quickly, and maybe second back out will be the charm for strong finish.
And there we have it, 8, 3, 7, 10 for Dave Rodman in race number 3. Race number 4 is a claiming 5,000, but starts the late pick 5. We have a nice carryover of 19 grand. That's certainly going to pop up by the time we get to race number 4. Instead of a rainbow pick 6, this is exactly why I gave you a little bit of a structure for the late pick 5 today. Of course, I go 6 and 7, race 5, 2, 8, and 10 in that next race. Of course, in that maiden special weight, you and I both land on Data Island, and I just throw in the 2 and the 10 for a little bit of insurance there. Race number 6, I go with the 2 and the 6, Lady on the Go and Wait for Tomorrow in that maiden claiming 12-5, and also the Jackpot Super High 5 race. Race number 7, 6 deep. because I think the starter optional 20, you're getting at the end of turf season. You have a couple of horses that kind of drop in, make the right moves here. So I think there's a lot of, you Must Chill should be winning this race, but I felt I needed to put in because you can never know what happens, especially at that mile distance as opposed to the longer distances that You Must Chill has shown to be a little bit prominent on. And then I single in a dramatic single in race number 8 on the 2 Saloon. This is for Kieran McGee, first time in the barn after the claim with Martina Rojas on top. They team up pretty well together, a $36 ticket. And as I mentioned, starts in race number 4 in that claiming 5,000. 6 furlongs on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. And Dave, you go with the number 3 on top. I originally had this one on top. Bowie two-step, Jonathan Maldonado, Angel Cruz gets the call.
Yeah, I like your strategy, by the way, in that 7th race, spreading in that turf race.
That makes
Of
me
all
feel
the
really
races
good.
in the late pick 5, that is a toughie. We're back and forth over that one. So I don't know if I'm going to use as many horses there, but I think you got to use more than a couple.
I
right?
get it. Yep, absolutely. So definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, I wound up with Bowie two-step. Jonathan Maldonado sometimes does well with off the claim. He doesn't get too ambitious with him. The horse likes Laurel Park. Win a Timonium with a good trip and a sharp effort as well. And I think he can close from a little bit off the pace as well if necessary. Angel Cruz gets the mount. All our best wishes to J.D. Acosta, I guess, who was thrown off a horse yesterday. The post parade delayed the race, but he walked away, and hopefully he'll be back in the saddle soon. So it is Angel Cruz in the 3 Bowie two-step. Off the angle that Vintage Hollywood loves to run second, really, because he's run second 15 times out of 60 tries and 6 wins, though his numbers, the 8-year-old, look good at Monmouth Park. So I had to use him in there. In number 1, Crown Count Cristo. He doesn't have a lot of early speed. He's going to hope for something crazy to happen up front. But anytime you see the combo of Marius Saray Jr., Grant Whitaker, you hate to see him pass you up at a price. And the 7 in here is Here and No Further, in good form, looking for 3 straight for the Kieran McGee barn. I think this is a little bit tougher company for him today after the 2 Big T wins, but you know, I had to use him in there. This is kind of an open race. You went with Here and No Further. You think he can handle this group?
I do. It's been a while. It's been since July since he's been back at Laurel Park. But even when he was, it wasn't a disrespectful go on the 2nd of July run, and that was at the claiming 10. So just kind of a little bit of, he's always knocking at the door, a little bit of confidence lately. And I think the Timonium to Laurel, we haven't seen really a ton from Kieran McGee from that Timonium to Laurel effort. So I think this is one that kind of will be gearing in well for that.
He's in good form, but that was back at the Big T. He beat the horse Don't Invade My Space, came back to win at Presque Isle Downs. And Notion to Tap It, I think, picked up the pieces just the other day as well for a share. All right. You know, I'm not excited about the race.
3517 for Dave Rodman in race number 4. And we will be right back after this commercial break to cover the rest of Sunday's card.
And they're off.
Welcome back here for race number 5. This is a maiden special weight, kicks off the late pick 4. This is for the 5.5 on the turf. 2-year-old girls. You and I both land on the number 8, Dawtaw Island for Arnaud Delacour, gets Charlie Marquez. Interesting backbreeding story on this one.
You know how to pronounce it. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
It looks nice on video on the internet. When you hit this late pick 5, it might be due for like a week down there, right?
The late pick 4 is signaling.
It looks kind of exclusive to me.
Late pick 5 winners, yes.
Daughter Omaha Beach are both the top pick here. Dawtaw Island, Omaha Beach, doing quite well as a stallion. 3 for 10 first time out winners on the grass for Omaha Beach. So he's been throwing winners and a high percentage of them on the turf course. Already 3 turf sprint winners by Omaha Beach, and good workout October 5th at Fair Hill breezing from the gate there. So I think she's going to have a little bit of early speed there, right?
There we have it. And of course, what I thought was interesting is that the Grand Dam, when she was in full with the dam of Data Island, she sold for 3.5 million at the November sale, I believe. So a lot. I think there's plenty, especially with Omaha Beach as the sire. I think there are plenty of expectations on this one, so it'll be interesting to see. But let's talk about your number 12 and out factored for Robbie Bales. Gets the blinkers on. William Humphrey, a nice price, a value of 30 to 1, I believe.
Now, here's my neat of yesterday.
Yes.
Remember neat, right?
Yes.
Running line looks the same. Well beaten on Colonial Downs dirt. But this filly's really, really bred to like the grass. By the factor, 14% turf sprint sire, and out of a dam by Colonel John, who had 9 starts on the grass, 3 wins in 3 seconds, and the blinkers go on. So toss that line. Race greenly in that race, off slow, then was green if you go back and look at the video, and then now a couple of really nice works over the Laurel dirt and bred for the grass, out-factored. Could be the price play there in the 5th.
You also include This Country for J.J. Toner, Georgie Ruiz, a first-time starter. He had a nice-looking first-time starter last week that ran pretty well. So kind of a trend. It's usually not his strongest stat, but it's kind of a trend that's kind of starting to peak up a little bit.
Yeah, I like that first-time starter last week that Jimmy Toner sent out, and I think it will win next out or perhaps going longer. Same kind of pattern here. Constitution filly, 14% turf sprint sire, but good pedigree, a half by a half sister to For the Flag, who did some really nice running on the turf, but best as a miler, right? Will 5.5 be too short? I think she's going to run big today. This Country, drawn down inside in a big field, is always going to be a big question mark first time out. But you got to respect the pedigree, respect the barn in this situation.
8-12, 2-4 for Dave Rodman there in race number 5. Race number 6 is a maiden claiming 12-5. 6 furlongs on the dirt for the straight 2-year-old filly. Also our jackpot super high 5 race. Dave, you go with the number 9 in Pam's Palace for Crystal Pickett. Let's take a look at that last effort out on the dirt, which was 2 back.
Right, Rosado, by the way, Johan Rosado on the 9 Pam's Palace. I know it was a short field at Pimlico. It wasn't a lot in here, but take a look at her action. All right, she got a little mud kicked in her face on a very sloppy day in northern Baltimore, in Charm City, and then right behind the 7 there, a little more dirt in the face, kind of over to the left lead, kind of still willing though, and as she runs on that final furlong, she'll continue a bit on that left lead, but still a nice try, I thought, right? I think down the line she's going to be okay. It's more of a turf slant to the pedigree here. Her dam Brooks House by Miz and Mast was a winner on the grass at Del Mar a while back. But in this group, I think I'm going to take a shot here with Pam's Palace. I really like that effort at Pimlico.
You also go with the number 6 underneath. Wait for Tomorrow for Mike Trombetta. Victor Carrasco gets the call. Mike Trombetta giving us a nice $20 winner yesterday, Dave.
Yeah, Trombetta barn, as we mentioned, has been hot on not only the grass, but the last 14 days pretty much all over the country. Off the synthetics, back to the onto the dirt. First time she was on the dirt to debut, she ran 5th here at Laurel Park, but was a bit high-headed in that race. But maybe she's learned a few lessons since then, grown up a little bit. She was second behind April's Diamante, a 7-length winner at Colonial, a distance second there. A little bit of a drop in the claiming price today. I mean, they're putting her at the proper level, I think, for the spot. Then wait for tomorrow. I had a couple of first-time starters, puzzlers in here. You got one of them on top, Lady on the Go from the Brittany Russell barn. And this looks like a turf pedigree on the bottom, but maybe that's just the way she is. They said, well, she's not super fast on the dirt. She's going to want longer later on. We'll just try her here for the 12-5 level.
And that's essentially what I think they're attacking at with this one. So not a lot to suggest on the breeding, as you mentioned, to suggest. But you have to put something there with Brittany Russell at these first-time starters at the maiden claiming level.
Another first, Kali, no walk in the park. Number 3, interesting to me. Mastery filly. We saw one of those horses, Mastery, win the other day here on the dirt. The dam include No Picnic. won at Parks as the best race of her career on sprinting on the dirt. But important is that the workout, if you consider apples versus apples here, good workout the same day as another runner from the McGee barn, Big Earn, who was second for maiden $45,000 in a comparative workout for no walk in the park. I was out of the starting gate. Actually, it was the most recent work, which is not. I was trying to. That's why I'm hesitating here.
Sure.
This is an
I can
early
hear
form. Early form. I didn't have the workout, but in looking at the latest edition online of
Sure.
Daily Racing One, you have. I think there's a bullet work in there out of the
Yes,
gate.
yes.
That was equal to a horse that ran second to maiden 45 from the same barn. So I don't know whether they work together, but
Probably.
that may say something there.
And there we have it, 9,637 for Dave Rodman there in race number 6. Race number 7 is a starter optional, 20,000, a mile on the turf for the 3-year-olds and up. I did go wide in this race, maybe a bit too wide because I just saw a lot of options. But the obvious go-to is You Must Chill, the number 11 for Jamie Rodriguez and Jamie Ness. Let's go ahead and take a look at that last effort.
Okay, you turn it over here to Mr. Master of the Obvious, and
did.
I think everybody saw this trouble, right?
Yes.
And inside, he was poised for a run at the 8th pole, and there's a hole there.
Tries to just-
But suddenly
Suddenly there isn't.
there isn't. He got sandwiched inside the 10, and then just kind of like had to wait and tried to get through, but couldn't quite do it. So a little bit of trouble there.
You would have had to been a bully of a horse to kind of get up through there, and You Must Chill wasn't very willing to do it that day.
Yeah.
So
Public's going to go crazy over that, don't you
Yes,
think, right?
I
mean,
do.
the betting public, I mean, I'm going to pick them on top, but as you spread
Yep.
in this race, you can see there's a lot of numbers. We got a lot of numbers on the board here, 784, 684. Talk about Cannon's Roar. I mean, you like
Yes.
this horse coming off Maryland Million a little bit?
I do. I think, I'm kind of still living off of that starter optional, that Laurel. Listen, the Maryland Million turf, did he necessarily fit into that race? Not totally. I think that was just a reach. I think we're coming back down to just easier stuff here today for him. He's 50, he's 50-50 on the mile. So with the way he's been going lately, it's just kind of a bit of a, how has this horse been going lately? The horse has been going great. He was still a touch overmatched in the Maryland Million turf, so at the mile and an eighth. So this might just kind of sending this horse forward a little bit might help him out here today. And I could see Charlie Marquez getting something out of this gelding.
Kind of an important draw-in horse in this race, 15 Fortunes Fool, who's had some speed on the grass before. And as we know, Gunslinger has some early speed. So I think the pace is going to be lively,
Honest.
probably honest at least. And so looking for somebody from off the pace in here. Another horse that kind of fits that is Certaire, first off the claim. And he got in a little traffic trouble himself at the top of the stretch behind Artemis Bridge, as the beaten favorite that day came rolling late, beaten only a couple of lengths. Now, had he not been in that trouble, it's arguable that he was been right there in the photo finish, or perhaps beaten Artemis Bridge. Gunslinger and Certaire have been kind of in battles before. Gunslinger beat him by a neck. He beat Gunslinger by a head. Gunslinger beat him 2 races back in the American Unity race by almost a length. So they're old turf war buddies there, Certaire and Gunslinger. 8. Gunslinger, of course, has that natural early speed, which is always dangerous. And 4 King's Honor just hasn't been following through as of late, but if he runs back to his best, now, he could be dangerous as well.
Belongs as well. So my thing with Certaire is that he's just been, his tough trips has been the name of his 2023 game for a lot of it. So he's back down to the starter optional, which I like. I really like this horse. It was hard to leave him off of my top picks. And maybe in a new barn, a hot barn of Hugh McMahon kind of might really liven things up for Certaire today as far as luck.
Consultant, another horse who ran okay last year over this grass. It was a winner back in August in a photo finish to be on the pale. He was taken back last time out. 3 wide in the first turn, wide down the backstretch, 4 wide in the second turn. Maybe if he gets covered up a little bit, he can pop late at the speed. Maybe he's a horse that just doesn't like to run the outside. And now to confuse you even more, I looked at Dan Ellman's picks. I think he's got the 10-year-old Papal Law on top
I
in
love
here.
it. I
So-
absolutely love it. A lot of ways to go here in race number 7. Now let's get to the finale for Sunday here in race number 8. This is a claiming 25,000, which have never won 3 for the 3-year-olds and up. 7 furlongs on the dirt. Dave, let's talk about Big Rowdy Dan right now. Rudy Sanchez Solomon, John Brasino. You have some info for us.
Well, Rudy Solomon we know is good off the claim. Just to, reiterate the fact we've probably said many times before. First off the claim, the last 3 years, this is on Laurel dirt only. 17% and a big positive return on investment of $4.70. It's first off the claim. He ran against Saloon, right? Your top pick last time out on a sloppy track at Pimlico, but I thought he ran all right. I know he passed a couple of tired runners, but in very, very, very late in the game, he really got going. He could have been second. He had a little issue where he was trying to shift in a little bit toward the left lead. He had to be straightened out, but maybe Rudy can straighten him out against Gene Barsenio aboard on Big Rowdy Dan. I think he's really going to like the 7/8 of a mile is kind of the key here for him. He's going to be my top pick.
Sure, definitely. You also go with the number 2 underneath. We just talked about Saloon, and then you go with the 2, 8, 9. But Saloon, Kieran McGee, Martina Rojas, they've been doing pretty well together.
15-length winner at Pimlico 2 races back, but that was on a really big speed and rail day, won by 15, but came back to win again on a sloppy track and beat my top pick, Big Rowdy Dan. Kind of rode the crest there on the sloppy going. So is he as good? Will he get better? Anytime you move into Kieran McGee's barn, you always have to take a second look there. Number 8, Cajun Dream, is going to be our video spotlight here. 2 races back at Delaware Park. He ran second, and the horse on the lead, Andiamo Firenze, was 3-5 in this spot. But Cajun Dream, the gray, this gives it a good try. Couldn't quite catch the favorite who kind of got away with everything up front. And the winner of $233,000 last year is a 2-year-old. Remember, they had high hopes for him. So there you go. Cajun Dream.
And then you also go with the number 9, Trash Talking Larry underneath. Corrales Arujo, they've teamed up pretty nicely to give you a couple of prices, so why not in the finale?
9 days, he won yesterday, right?
Yes.
They got New Rome in great form. Yeah, great training job by Corrales. 9 days ago was no factor against the favorite, Burks. But this horse for a while back in last fall toward the winter was in really good form. The shorten up second race back after the layoff, his back numbers would win for sure. So a few ways to go in the 8th race. I think the pace will be lively. I think grabbing the money's kind of the unknown shipper from out of town. I think it's going to liven up the pace with Carbonite. Saloon's going to chime in. We know that. And I'm hoping for somebody right off of it. Big Rowdy Dan top play.
Dave Rodman 3289 there in the finale. And just to highlight your best bet and your value plays of the day, starting off with your value play, an Irish Warlock for Daniel McKenzie and Georgie Hernandez.
First off, the claim of a limited number of starters, a couple of winners from the McKenzie barn. Horse has some turf pedigree on the dam side and ran into a big class dropper last time out on the dirt. Good price on Irish Warlock, so he's value.
And your best bet of the day is in race number 5 on the number 8 as well. 8 is your number of the day in Data Island for Arnaud Delacour and Charlie Marquez.
Yep, that's your top pick as well. We mentioned Omaha Beach on fire as a first-time starter sire on the turf with 3 wins already out of 10 tries. So maybe he'll increase that percentage today. It is an open race, but I kept looking around going, who's best? Who's best? Let's try this horse because I think she'll be a square price in a big field of 2-year-old fillies.
And there we have it, Dave Rodman's best bet of the day, and we will be right back. Thank you so much for joining us here for the morning show, and we're just going to touch in. I'm going to leave off set, let this guy carry over on the scratches and the changes for Sunday's card.
Good luck.